Welcome to the Third Quarter Podcast. I am your, hold up, but before I even, can I just say how excited I am for this? Just me doing the intro to the pod has me excited. This is so many years in the making, but we're finally here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Third Quarter Podcast. Welcome to the Third Quarter Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Simpson, and I am very excited to bring to you something that I believe is going to be of service for you and some people that you know. This is a pod that has been years in the making, and I couldn't be more thrilled to start this journey with all of you. So if you're listening to this right now, I want to start off by saying thank you for investing your time into this pod. You could be doing anything else in the world right now, but you are making a decision to be here with your boy. So for that, I am grateful and I thank you. This podcast is something that I believe is going to serve in a unique space. And for the first episode, I kind of just want to give you a background of me and why this podcast is called the Third Quarter Podcast, what to expect moving forward, and if this is something that could be of benefit for you, because I do know that I'm not going to be for everybody. And to be honest, I don't want to be for everybody either. But I am going to be for the right body. And I do believe that what I have to say, my thoughts, my opinions, my expertise, my journey, my story, is going to connect with people that need this in this very moment. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone that you know, but I do believe it's time for me to embark in this space. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a little background of myself so you get to know me and know why I'm here, where I've been, and where I am wanting to go. So my name is Aaron Simpson. Everyone calls me Ace. You can call me either or. And I am a 36-year-old man from Detroit that moved to Los Angeles in 2015. And I am an entrepreneur. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. I'm a speaker. I guess you can say I'm a content creator, but there's something about content creator that's just like I don't really connect with that. Not saying that I look down at people that say that. It's just when I say content creator, it just doesn't really make me feel any type of way. But I do create content and I document. And I wasn't always somebody that wanted to be open and wanted to be vulnerable. Maybe you can relate to that. I am the youngest of 6 boys. A lot of testosterone in my household. Both of my parents were each married once before. So I'm the only child from my parents. And because of that, all of my brothers are significantly older than I am. My oldest brother, Lamont, shout out to Lamont, is 15 years older than me. And my brother that was closest to my age was my brother Ian, who is no longer with us. Rest in peace. And he was 5 years older than me. So I grew up in a very unique household where there was always a lot going on, but I still kind of felt like I was by myself, if that makes sense. Maybe you can relate to that in your own story. But even though we had a lot of people coming in and out, there was a part of me that always felt like I was being left behind. Not intentionally, but it's just the nature of the beast when you're 5 years old and your oldest brother is 20. Like there's only so much you can talk about, you know what I mean? And so because of that, I really grew a love for sports and entertainment. And I played baseball growing up as a kid. There's a rumor, there's a story, there's an urban legend that when I was 2 or 3 years old, we were playing wiffle ball in the backyard. For those of you that are younger, the backyard is a place where you would go play as a kid. Okay. But there's a rumor that I hit a baseball over my house. Okay. At that moment, that's when my parents started to introduce me into playing baseball. And so I played baseball at a very young age. I was always playing 2 years above my age level. So my teammates were always older than I was. My friends were older than me. And as time went on, once I got into middle school, then I started gravitating into basketball. And that's when everything changed for me. I stopped playing baseball and I just dedicated my life to basketball. Now, I preface all this by saying one of the reasons why basketball was more interesting to me than baseball was because in basketball, I didn't need anybody else to practice with. I didn't need someone to play catch with. I didn't need someone to pitch it to me. Basketball was 100% on me. I can shoot, I can dribble, I can work on my game without needing anybody present. So once that happened, I wanted to make it to the NBA. That was my goal. Now, growing up, even though I had a lot of brothers like I talked about earlier, and I also mentioned that I felt like I was kind of by myself, I was also in love with film and movies. So the TV screen, the movie screen was kind of like my babysitter. I love movies. I love TV shows. I just love professional wrestling. I loved it all. And so I grew up being very introverted with an extroverted personality. I loved having fun. I love cracking jokes. If you know my family, if you ain't got no jokes, if you ain't comfortable cracking jokes, don't come through the front door, okay? You got to be comfortable with cracking the jokes. So I always had that extroverted personality, but internally, I always felt more comfortable as a lone wolf. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that everyone was older than me, so I kind of was always kind of by myself. And I just preferred it that way. So I wanted to make it to the NBA. Obviously, that didn't happen. And we'll get into more about my story in episodes down the road. But as time went on, I was always in this search for who am I? What am I called to do? What's my purpose? What's my thing? And I tried acting. I tried modeling. I started a personal training business. I moved to California. I used to live in New York. I was putting my hands in anything that I felt was going to give me some type of significance. Maybe you can relate to that too. Maybe you've tried things that it sounded great, but the promise of the thing, the fruit of what that thing could possibly do, felt too much to pass up because it would help you escape how you were currently feeling about yourself. And sometimes I feel we try to do things because it promises us a feeling that we want that is the complete opposite of our reality right now. And so I was searching for significance. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to feel adored. I wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere. Because for so long, I didn't really feel like I really belonged internally. I'm biracial. I have 3 brothers that were white, 2 brothers that are black. I don't look like anybody. I don't look like I'm someone's brother. I always felt like I was the odd person out. Now, whether I was or not is not the point. The point is how I felt about it. And so in this search for meaning, in this search for purpose, I was finding things to do that I felt was going to give me that. And fitness gave me that. I loved it. I loved training people. I loved doing boot camps. I had a business in California where I had 6 facilities in LA, and I would do boot camps and private one-on-one trainings and small group trainings, and business was going well. And then COVID was like, hold my beer for a second. Okay, we're going to put a pause on that. And so I had to shut everything down. And so everything went virtual for me. And it was during that time period, just like you, where there was a lot of uncertainty. You didn't really know what was next, what was going on, and am I going to go on? Is life going to go on? Are things going to be different? I didn't know. And I went through a period just like you where I was lost, I was confused, and I just didn't know. Everything about my life stopped. Just like you. My business stopped. Everything was just up in the air. July 2nd, 2020, I felt so deep in my bones that God wanted me to put a prayer out on TikTok. Now, I want to preface this by saying, if you don't know by now, I am a God-fearing man. And if you follow my social media, you know that. But if you haven't, I'm a God-fearing man. I am a man of faith. And I heard God tell me in his own unique way, I want you to put a prayer out on TikTok. And I was like, TikTok? What the hell you know about TikTok? Like, I was like, not. First of all, I didn't have a TikTok, right? I didn't have one. But I felt so convicted to do this. And I didn't know why. And I didn't know what was the point. And I didn't know why he told me specifically TikTok. So I wrestled and I fought. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to get this dude off my back. All right, I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm living in LA by myself in a zombie land. And I'm just going to try it. So I did. I did a prayer. I have no idea what it was about. And I put it out. Didn't think anything of it. A couple days later, I checked my phone. It's got 3,000 views. I'm like, I'm like, I haven't had 3,000 views in anything. So I did another one. 3,000 views, another one. And I kept going. And it went from one video a day to 2 videos a day to a prayer and an encouraging word. I started to get creative. I started to do stuff, right? Because I had all the time. A month goes by and I do a prayer about anxiety. And that video does 1.5 million views in 3 days. And then from that point on, I was getting anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 people, 2,000 people to follow me a day. And then it went to Instagram, and then it went to this. And next thing you know, my content to this day has been seen 400 million times. Now, I'm not saying that to be like, look at me, look how dope I am. I have millions of followers on social media. I have millions of views. It's not about that. The point is all of this happened when I least expected it. And at a point in my life where I knew a shift had to happen. I knew that something had to change. And I knew that there was something more on the inside of me that needed to come out, but I didn't know what it was. And that's why this podcast is called the Third Quarter Podcast. Because in basketball, the third quarter is the most important quarter of the game. Why? Because halftime is the only time in the game where the past actually matters. You're reevaluating what worked, what didn't work. You're strategizing. You're coming up with game plans to implement in the second half. But the third quarter is the statement quarter. This is the quarter that's going to determine we're either going to win or we're going to lose. It doesn't matter if you're down 20. It doesn't matter if you're up 20. You can easily lose the lead as fast as you got the lead. So the question is going to be, how are you going to respond? And what are you going to do with this second half of your life? And I feel like there's a lot of people, maybe it's you, are experiencing a third quarter moment. You've lived, you've experienced, you've done some things that you're proud of, but ultimately you're not truly fulfilled in what you're doing. You're not fulfilled in your career or your job or your relationships or just what you feel like you're called to do. You're not bringing that person full-fledged to the front. And that's how I felt. And it started with me leaning into this prayer on TikTok that 4 years later, I didn't know that I was going to be speaking in front of thousands of people, speaking at my church, consulting high-level executives and CEOs and entertainers. I didn't know that this is what I was going to be doing. But he did. But it started with my third quarter moment. I had a decision to make. Am I going to enter the third quarter and just go through the motions? I'm down 10. This is how it is. This is how it's always going to be. Or Am I going to flip the script? Because when you look at the greatest basketball teams, the Jordan Bulls, the Kobe Lakers, the Curry Warriors, they were always elite teams in the third quarter. No matter how the first half went, whether they were winning or losing, they were always going to blow you out in the third quarter. That's the statement quarter. This is the quarter where you get to decide who you are and where you're going. And that's who this podcast is for. This pod is for the people that are ready for the third quarter moment. No more guessing. We're done planning. We're done with the vision boards. We're done contemplating. We're done texting people what you think I should do. We're done asking questions. We're done Google searching. We're done watching YouTube videos and podcasts, unless you're listening to mine, okay? But we're done thinking. It's time to do. And most of us, we wait until we know before we start to do. And I want to submit to you this. I think it's time for you to start doing until you start to know. I had no idea why I had to do that prayer. I didn't know where I was going, but I did it. And through doing that, I started to uncover parts of myself that's been suppressed for so long. I was looking for fulfillment in all the wrong places, and now I found it. Now I've uncovered who I am, what I'm good at, what I'm uniquely qualified for, and the people that I want to help. And maybe that's you. So, if you made it this far, thank you so much. If you cut it off and you don't hear this, don't come back. No, I'm joking. You all are welcome. But also all are welcome to leave too. This is an open door policy. The door opens coming in. It also opens going out. This podcast is not for everyone, but if it is for you, welcome. I love you. You are safe here. We are going to have fun. We're going to learn. We're going to grow. We're going to entertain. We're going to kick it. We are going to be bruz and sis. I don't even know if that made sense, but it did in my mind. We are going to be family here. This is the pod where you can come in and learn and grow and start to take action on the things that you know you're supposed to be doing, the thing that's pulling at your heartstrings, the thing that doesn't make sense to most people, but it feels so true to you. The first quarter is over. The second quarter is done. Halftime is over with. The analyzing is done. The contemplating is done. It's time for the third quarter. Now, if you enjoyed this, please do me a favor. You guys know the deal. You've listened to podcasts all over the place. Please share, comment, subscribe, do the things, right? Help me out. And if you know one or two people that could use this pod, that would love this pod, that would grow from this pod, please share it. It helps me out and it helps your friends out. I can only do so much. My job is to show up and to create. After that, everything is in your hands. I love you so much. Thank you for listening. And again, welcome to the Third Quarter Podcast.